with Damien Sosa, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. I thought it was a entertaining boxing match. I already heard about Damien Sosa defeating up and coming prospect of Puerto Rican descent named Marquez Valle. I was not too big on him, and I wasn't really like a fan of him. He beat one of my somebody I know that actually was a prospect coming up. He didn't make it too far, but I just took it personal that he beat him. But I don't think that, you know, the way that he beat the guy that I know, which was Midiael Sanchez, the way he beat him wasn't like they had to like play like, games with the referee, and the referee kind of like was, for any little thing he would, cause problems, like, like interfere in the fight, and like didn't give Miguel Sanchez a chance to win. He stopped the fight because he was holding too much. But sometimes even veterans do that. They hold to win a fight. It's not. Sometimes you got to do whatever you can to win a fight. And I know that he wasn't holding as much as the referee was saying, but I don't want to make this about Marquez Valle. He lost to Damien Sosa. Damien Sosa is a Mexican with a 25-3 now and 12 KO. And before he fought Marquez Valle, he was no before he fought Zander Zas, he was 25-2. But now after losing to Zander Zas, he's 25-3 with 12 KOs. And I basically saw like the highlights of that fight with Marquez Valle. And hold up, somebody's trying to call me. So I saw the fight with Marquez Valle, and I saw highlights of Marquez Valle losing. It seemed like a very competitive fight with Marquez Valle. There was a lot of back and forth between him and Damien Sosa, but I knew based on what I saw in the highlights that Zander Zas is going to be superior to Damien Sosa. Like, he just has more athletic abilities. He's quicker. He doesn't have one punch KO, Zander Zas, but he has determination power. I explained that in my previous video, what determination power is. He doesn't have one punch KO. He has determination power, meaning that he has to set up his punches and he has to throw a lot of combinations. And if he sets them up well, he can stop you. But he's not a one punch KO artist. But he's very athletic, has a lot of boxing skills, Zander Zas. And I knew that Zander Zas would outclass Damien Sosa or stop him possibly. But obviously, he has a good chin, Damien Sosa, and he was able to withstand the onslaught of Zander Zas. But I totally believe that Zander Zas looked really, really superb, and he dominated him. He won every single round. There was no round that I saw Damien Sosa win. There was no rounds at all that I saw him win. But I feel that Zander Zas is the future of Puerto Rican boxing. I'm convinced that he's going to go far. His body has developed into the man body. He's no longer has a body of a 22-year-old. His body is actually developed. And not looking at it like that, just saying, as an athlete, he's developing. He's developing. What's up, cool kid? What's up, Mateo Estrella? And I feel like boxing is in a good place as far as Puerto Rican boxing, but it's a little slow. But I think it's taking off, and it's slowly but surely building up. And I feel like Belanga was used as a sacrificial lamb for Puerto Rican boxing, and I don't know why they celebrate people losing as a moral victory, but I don't really believe that Belanga won any. I don't believe he won any. Well, he probably won one round. He was somewhat competitive, but I think Canelo won. I say basically almost every round, but I didn't feel like it was an easy fight for Canelo to knock out Belanga. I feel like Belanga was tough. He stood in there, and I feel like he made it he made a good effort, but not good enough, because I feel like he should have threw more combinations. And if he would have threw the jab more and throw more combinations, he had a better chance of beating Canelo. I think he in the rematch. I just feel like boxing is just like a lot of stuff is not really like it's rigged. I feel like it's rigged, but maybe he didn't have experience because I feel like Canelo took a fighter that didn't have experience. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Thank you, Mateos, today. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for tuning in. Yeah, so I feel like Belanga, he showed that he has heart, but why do we celebrate when somebody didn't win that many rounds, only one round? Why do we celebrate that so much now? It's like we settle for less. Like, why are we giving him a moral victory? I think I know why. Because everybody expected Belanga to not go the distance. Everybody expected Belanga to get knocked out. So that kind of made him look more bigger than what he actually is. And I feel like, he is good, but I feel like if you're judging it on Canelo, that he went the distance with Canelo. Canelo hasn't stopped anybody in years. Canelo is not a one-punch knockout artist. He's a determination power hitter. He doesn't knock you out with one punch. His power comes from determination. It's not a one-punch KO knockout. It's like I said, Puerto Ricans have one-punch power, most of us. But some of us have determination power. In the case of Zander Zas, he has determination power. And he is not a one-punch hitter. And I feel like Belanga is gonna get big fights, but they're making Belanga seem so big just for going the distance with Canelo. But Canelo hasn't stopped anybody in years. And yes, he went the distance with him, but he didn't win any rounds. But he wasn't hurt. He got knocked down. It was a flash knockdown by Canelo. But I appreciate his heart and his willingness to not give up and keep staying in the fight. But he should have did less talking smack in between the rounds when he could have actually landed on him. I feel like there was too much bravado, and I get it. But I feel like he's gonna get big fights. But the only reason why they're making it a moral victory for Belanga is because nobody expected him. A lot of people didn't expect him to go the distance. So that's making him look bigger. And I feel like Canelo isn't as good as people say he is. He's a really, really good boxer. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good champion. But if you put him in the 90s, he was regular compared to the 90s. Like, we got Felix Trinidad, Ike Quartet, Oscar De La Hoya. We have fighters back in those days, Pernell Whitaker, that, Canelo would have looked so amateurish compared to them. But that's another story. So I feel like Zander Zas really gave a tremendous performance, and he looked superb. He did a great job. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't beat Zander Zas. He beat a Puerto Rican prospect before he faced Zander Zas, Marcus Valle. But, Zander Zas is at a different level. And I knew Zander Zas was going to win. But when you look at the boxing commentators in Pro Boxing TV and the Spanish channel, I feel like they're very biased, the Mexicans, when it comes to Mexican fighters. They were saying before the fight between Damien Sosa and Zander Zas that if Zander Zas is not careful, that he could lose to Damien Sosa. That he's a very tough fighter, and he's a very good fighter with a lot of attributes. But I'm like, he's just a straightforward, straight shooter, one-dimensional boxer. That's what Damien Sosa was. He was a typical Mexican brawler that goes forward, and he doesn't have any boxing ability. He has a strong chin. Like most Mexicans have strong chins, but I say 70% of Puerto Ricans have strong chins and 30% don't. And the only time that a Mexican has the chance to beat a Puerto Rican is when the Puerto Rican doesn't have a chin, or he doesn't have boxing ability. If he doesn't have those two things, boxing abilities and no chin, and he's just a slugger, the Mexican 9 times out of 10 is gonna win. What's up, my brother Luis Manon? Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Yes, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I feel like Mexican fighters are known for having determination, which they have a lot of determination power, but you don't really see a Mexican one punch KO. You don't see that often. It's very rare. But Puerto Ricans have one punch KO. Most of us, 9 times out of 10. And some of us are not, don't have power, but we always have boxing ability for the most part. Like a high percentage of us are very athletic. It's in our DNA. We have a chin, 70%. Mexicans have 99.9% chin. They're known for having a chin. I never seen a Mexican with a weak chin. So I give them that credit, but they don't have athleticism that much as Puerto Ricans do. That's just, if you look at history, and the only reason why Mexican boxing is catching up to the Puerto Ricans in victories, the Puerto Ricans, last time I checked, have 84 victories, and Mexicans now have 80 victories. But that's because of boxing promotion. That's not because that they're getting close. It's only because Puerto Rican boxing is not promoted as much as Mexican boxing. If it was promoted as much as Mexican boxing, we'll be way ahead of Mexicans in as far as victories. We just have more attributes, but I'm not saying that that's always the case. There's cases when, like Camacho, when he fought Chavez, Camacho had a strong chin. He had boxing abilities, and when he wasn't doing drugs, but when he started doing drugs, it messed up his life. It messed up his abilities. He slowed down. So when he did that, Chavez was able to beat him because he wasn't able to move. Chavez was able to beat Camacho because Camacho wasn't able to move like the way he did in the past. But I feel like boxing, Puerto Rican boxing is slowly coming back. Subriel Matias is gonna come back November. He's gonna fight this guy named Gabriel Valenzuela. Initially, he was gonna fight what's his name, Jose Ramirez, not the Ramirez that Danielito Zorilla lost to. No, not him. He I guess they replaced the opponent and they put in Gabriel Valenzuela in November. There's no official date, but this is supposed to be Subriel Matias' comeback, and we hope that he comes back and he does what he has to do, and then hopefully he can get a rematch with Paro. Because Paro, I feel like that fight was bought. I don't know. I just feel like he was signed to an exclusive contract, Paro, but Subriel Matias was only signed to multiple fight deals. So I feel like there's a lot of politics there. If you really look at it. All right. So I feel like Zander Zas did a great job, and he did what he was supposed to. But these commentators on ProBox TV were saying, that he could lose, and Zander Zas could lose to Damien Sosa if he's not careful. I wonder how they feel now. I knew that he was going to dominate him, but it was intriguing to see the possibility of Zander Zas fighting a guy that throws 88 punches around. But that didn't happen when he fought Zander Zas, because Zander Zas just took away all the attributes that of throwing the combinations, like 88 punches. He wasn't able to do that. He threw like half of that. Hey, Arnaldo Nieves, saludos, mi hermanito, Tony. Yes, Tony Oso. Gracias por velar el canal y apoyar mi canal. Siempre voy a darle contenido a todos ustedes. Y hablo aquí, yo sé que yo hablo mucho inglés, pero hablo mucho español. Y disculpa si no he hablado en español, pero yo quiero dejarles saber a ustedes que voy a tratar de hacer videos en español y en inglés, lo mejor que yo pueda. I'm going to try to make videos in Spanish and English. Siempre, mi hermano, ya tú sabes. Chequea la música mía, Tony Also, ALSO, en Spotify. Tengo la canción música para Puerto Rico, promoviendo lo que está pasando. Y tengo cantando música R&B, dance, Afro beats y muchas cosas que viene el año que viene en otros proyectos. Yeah, so I got 2 projects next year. The Essence of Who I Am, which has Afro beats, has R&B, has dance, has house music. I have some features from somebody famous. I'm not going to mention the person's name. But I got a revolutionary hip-hop music that I also do, and I also sing R&B, Afro beats, reggae, house music. In my new album, The Essence of Who I Am, dedicated to my mother, Elsie, who I love very much, who passed away, unfortunately, last year. I got a song dedicated to her, and I have a artist that's famous that people know who it is, but I don't want to mention it because I don't want to give too many details. But it's a dance artist that's famous. It's going to feature on my song, Never Give Up. dedicated to my mother. So yeah, check that. It's gonna come out next year, and my project, my EP for Puerto Rico with Red Moon Music, is gonna be a album that talks about what's going on in Puerto Rico, the colonialism of the United States. So I'm gonna talk about that in that album, but I don't want to give too much details about that because this is a boxing channel. You want to check out that content? You can check out my TikTok, my TikTok, my Facebook, my Instagram, and all that good stuff. But yeah, I feel like boxing is slowly, Puerto Rican boxing slowly coming back, and I feel like Zander Zas did a good job, and he did a superb job in outboxing and dominating Damien Sosa. And I feel like a lot of great things are in store for him soon. And I just feel like they're in a good place right now as far as but the promoter that he has top ranked, he's getting older. So I think pretty soon, he's going to have to go to a different promoter because, Bob Arum is not putting a lot of energy in the promotion the way he should, like back in the days. And I understand because he's getting older. So, yep. And that's all I got for boxing right now. And there's another thing that happened in boxing. What's that guy's name? That guy for the UFC. Yeah, what's his name? White. His last name is White. And he actually is getting involved with boxing. He said he's gonna be the HBO channel, like the way HBO was for boxing. He said he's gonna be the HBO of boxing. I don't know how he's gonna accomplish that because I feel like HBO was already established and that for a long time, and then him coming from the UFC, it's gonna be harder because boxing is a different dynamic. To get into boxing, you get to compete with a lot of those other people like that do boxing. This guy, the guy from Saudi Arabia, that guy Turkey, that guy Turkey from Saudi Arabia. I don't know his full name, but he's doing really good for boxing. But he's making big events. He's paying for big events. He's not, I feel like it's good and it's bad. He's paying for big name fighters to make those fights. But the little guys that are coming up, like the prospects, it's harder for them when you actually you're competing with a guy that's willing to pay for all the fights. But the big name fighters, it's like he's competing, like he's making it harder for the guys that are coming up, like the prospects. It's harder for them to actually get known or recognized. It's not like the 90s where you can see the prospects coming up on the undercard and you can see them fight on the undercard of a big main event. Now it's just big names they put on the event, in the main event and in the undercard. I feel like they should give the little guys an opportunity too. So that's what I got right now as far as boxing. And Patrick Cora, I know you guys don't, I don't know if everybody knows who Patrick Cora is, but Patrick Cora is 10-0 with 7 KOs, and he is going to box in November. I know he's training in Mexico. He's a prospect from Puerto Rico. He's undefeated. He's in a 160 pounder. He's a 160 pounder. And he was sparring with Canelo, and he was schooling the crap out of Canelo in the sparring. He shared it with me in Instagram. So you should check out Patrick Cora. Patrick Cora. He's on Instagram, and he's gonna walk in the ring with my song. I did a song for him called like when the pandemic was happening, called No Te Metas con Cora. It's a boxing song that I basically wrote about his career and him being ranked and being in a position to be a champion in the future and be the next Puerto Rican champion. He said he was going to walk in the ring with my song, No Te Metas con Cora. So, check out Patrick Cora, November. I'm going to try to find out the date exactly and when they're going to give it on. If they're going to give it on TV, if it's going to be televised, I'm going to keep you guys posted. But yeah, that's all I got for now. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tony also knows boxing. Tony also knows boxing. Tune in. Subscribe and like and share. I appreciate all the love. One love. Tony also knows boxing. Brooklyn in the house. Boricua, baby. And I can speak Spanish too. Somebody was saying something about English or Spanish. I can speak both languages. I'm universal. One love.